Oh, kaya mo cuma tahu kami nganita mamu. Oh, gua sana lah nganita mamu. Nimbula, ayaw Mr. Ben.
Ella ba?
Na magikiro manolo kinedyo na bima taka monisi kina rumbuka.
Na Bula FM, na madua ele selling.
How would you like to spend your morning? You could spend your morning like this. Or you could spend it like this.
Tune in to the Morning Ride every weekday morning from 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. right here on Today FM, Today's Hit Music.
I have today given my assent to the 2013 Constitution through the powers vested in me as your head of state.
2013 Constitution to become law from tomorrow. Prime Minister says it is for the people to judge him in elections next year. And political leaders hold a protest to try and disrupt Constitution proceedings at Government House. Good evening, I'm Jackie Spate and you're watching FBC News. The 2013 Constitution this afternoon has been assented by His Excellency, the President Ratuepeli Nailatikau. Cabinet ministers, members of the judiciary, the diplomatic corps and selected guests were present at the historic event. Abisalome Doka reports.
With this signature, the 2013 Constitution now becomes the supreme law of Fiji from midnight. Calling for all Fijians to support the Constitution, President Ratuepeli Nailatikau said it establishes the principle that every Fijian is equal.
It is the Constitution we had to have for us to join the ranks of the world's great democracies. Unlike previous constitutions, it does not define and divide us by ethnicity. It bestows the title of Fijian on every citizen while celebrating and recognizing our cultures.
Ratuepeli has also urged people to think of the possibilities if some of the provisions of this Constitution are embraced by everyone.
For the first time, any child born in Fiji gets a much better chance of gaining knowledge and skills, with specific undertakings about access to primary, secondary, and tertiary education. So we will be a smarter nation with more people capable of getting satisfying and sustainable jobs.
Prime Minister Vorengem Bainimarama spoke after the ceremony. With our fourth constitution, Fiji now stands par on par with other bigger nations.
It's taken us 43 years and 3 constitutions to get here. But now, finally, it's happened. And it's cause for immense celebrations.
It also provided an opportunity to reflect on something that began in December 2006.
Today marks the completion of the revolutions the RFMFNI embarked on 6.5 years ago. That revolution was to put our nation back on track after years of turmoil, to fulfill our vision at independence of a just, vibrant, and multicultural economic powerhouse in the Pacific.
Bainimarama highlighted that the previous 3 constitutions failed the people of Fiji.
These constitutions highlighted differences rather than commonalities. Every time we went to vote, we had to stand in separate lines. How could we expect our nation to be united? How could we expect political parties to appeal to all Fijians when the very structures of these constitutions, the very structures of governance, differentiated us?
On this historic day, Bainimarama said he will subject himself to the will of the Fijian people at the polls, adding that it is they who will pass judgment on him and his political party. Apisalo Medoka, FBC News.
Meanwhile, earlier today, leaders of the United Front for Democratic Fiji gathered outside Government House in an attempt to disrupt the proceedings. Roland Koroy reports this was a political protest against the ascension of the Constitution.
Politicians and a number of their supporters, as well as NGOs, gathered at the front gate of the President's residence at around 11 this morning. They wanted to prevent the President from assenting to the Constitution. Shortly after, the police arrived.
All right, okay.
Those holding placards were arrested, and according to police, this was done because the group had no permit for a protest.
Any gathering should have a permit in a public place. However, if you do not do that, then we'll have to come in, step in. So it's just a proactive measures too from our side. No, there was no permit for that.
The group here behind me are adamant that they will continue in their fight against the Constitution. Leaders have said that they will somehow today deliver their letter to the President.
The group then moved to the rear entrance of Government House. The leaders were met by the President's Secretary, Pene Noni.
The content of the letter is basically asking the President, really informing him that we don't accept the Constitution and asking if he would desist from signing it.
The government has maintained that elections next year will go ahead despite opposition from some politicians. Roland Koroy, FBC News.
The Fiji Revenue and Customs Authority has strengthened the proceeds of crime decree to give it more teeth against tax evaders. FBCTV can now charge tax on unexplained wealth and assets and link it to the tax accounts of suspected evaders.
The 2013 Amendment on the Proceeds of Crime Amendment Decree leaves very little room for tax evaders to move, and a denial won't help either.
A person that has been found to be having big deposits in a bank account, whether it's under the name of the children, the mother-in-law, the father-in-law, to tell us clearly where the source of those money coming from. If it's not, then we'll just add it up. This is total income. You not declare it in the tax return. The penalty will be there, so we'll add it up as part of his gross income.
FBCTV, the Director of Public Prosecution's Office, the Police and the Finance Intelligence Unit are jointly clamping down on tax evaders who, according to Tikolevu, are some of the big players in our economy.
We are always encouraging companies to do the right thing. Those days are gone in terms of declaring the falsification of documents, because we are very competitive in our tax rates and the concessions that continue to be given by government. It's really sad to note that some big ones are still doing the wrong thing.
Tikolevu says the new tax laws are comprehensive to the extent that the burden of proof lies with the suspects. The law recognizes that FBCTV's investigation combined with those of other agencies is good enough to make a case against a tax evader.
The responsibility of proving to court that something is done wrongly is not it's not really the responsibility of the four agencies, but it's the person. The accused person has to explain to the judge.
So the burden of proof is
with the person, the accused person.
The maximum penalty for tax evasion is 20 years imprisonment or a $600,000 fine. Micro-enterprises aren't exempted either from the hefty penalties. Nikolonga, FBC News.
After the break, new boss takes up office at Fiji Airways.
Isambol binaka, na dango wadi soni dalai, na makio mani wasini ngono borota kina lali ne kabi, mai na tolu kina bitu, ena moni dingina por rombuka, ena Bula FM, na bandu ena serre.
Bula, I'm Wame. Join me every weekday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. on The Center Show with classic hits from the 70s as well as the 80s right here on Gold FM.
Welcome back. You're watching FBC News. There's been much improvement in roads, especially in the Western Division. This is all thanks to a new technology called foamed bitumen modification, which uses additive material to create a much more durable surface. Akosida Tale has more.
Aiming to increase capacity between Nandi International Airport and Denarau Road, This machine creates pavement much quicker by recycling existing materials on the road. This minimizes the use of additional gravel and other materials in laying new roads.
People who have witnessed the work on the back road will understand what I'm talking about the level of productivity. That road was originally constructed, it took about 18 months, and unfortunately due to a combination of inappropriate design and perhaps some issues with the construction and the materials, that road started falling apart.
In contrast to previous work, the FRA managed to rebuild half of the Nandi Back Road in 15 days. However, the machine isn't suited for work on all the roads in Suva.
It won't be quite as fast in Suva because there's a lot more to consider. There's the streetscape, it's a lot more challenging environment. There's the water pipes and the electricity and all those other things I mentioned to consider. But certainly it's a lot faster technology than traditional ways of doing things.
It's ideally suited for longer stretches of road, particularly on the open highways. But even with the congestion in Suva, the machine will still get the job done faster.
The shorter time you're on site, generally the less per kilometre it's costing you because you haven't got machinery sitting around waiting to do work.
The foamed bitumen modification has been in use in New Zealand for the past 6 years, and Highway Stabilizers, a contractor in Fiji, is a specialist in this type of technology. Aku si Tatale, FBC News.
Fiji Airways' new Chief Executive Officer Stefan Pichler officially started in his new role this week. Pichler takes over the helm of the national airline from acting CEO Aubrey Swift, who had been in the role following Dave Flicker's departure in May. Pichler says he's excited to join Fiji Airways at this pivotal period of growth and change. He started work at Fiji Airways on Monday, and one of the first issues he had to address was concerns raised about the Auckland flight disruptions last week. Pichler successfully served as CEO with Jazeera Airways for 4 years, where he led a remarkable turnaround, achieving the highest operating profit margins in the industry in 2011 and 2012. Tourism Fiji has appointed Carla Walton as its new Regional Director Australia, commencing September 9th, following their decision to look for new regional directors earlier this year. Walton replaces Paresh Pant, who was the Regional Director Australia for 6 years. Tourism Fiji CEO Rick Hamilton says the appointment reflects the importance of the Australian market to tourism in Fiji. Hamilton says they are confident Walton will assist them in continuing to drive growth and enhance Fiji's reputation as an ideal holiday destination with her proven track record in the industry. The new regional director based in Australia says she is delighted to represent Fiji and making a contribution at a very exciting time with Tourism Fiji's new marketing initiatives and branding, Fiji where happiness finds you. From gymnastics to fashion, for some, this may be a risky move. However, for Riddhi Damodar, it was a risk worth taking. Chanel Sivan reports.
Riddhi Damodar was India's gold medalist in gymnastics at the age of 8. She only realized her passion for fashion 5 years ago when she came to Fiji. Last night, she released her first collection for 2013 under the Riddhi label.
I have launched my first collection as being the fashion designer for the Mani House of Fashion. My collection was inspired by tribal patterns, and I actually gave the classic stripes a twist. Yes, it's a totally different world because when I was in gymnastics, I was very sporty. I had no fashion sense. I was in my sporty clothes and everything. But when I left gymnastics, that's the time I actually got my personal style and everything.
Riddhi wants to be an inspiration to upcoming artists and has a lot of confidence in the future of Fiji's fashion industry.
When it comes to fashion, you can't just keep track of each and every dollar. It's really hard because if you try to do that, then you're not creative. Then you're just focusing on the business side, the funding side, and that result will not be the one you want. So, but yes, it's an expensive industry.
Behind every successful man is a woman. This time, the tables have turned. Riddhi attributes her success to her husband, Div Damodar, and her main inspiration, her daughter Dimani.
After Victory named my daughter Dimani, we came to know that there is a word in our Fijian language called Daimani, which means diamonds. So it's a bit like that particular name.
Griddy last night launched a total of 9 designs, ranging from evening gowns to cocktail wear. Chanel Shivan, FBC News.
The King of Tonga, His Majesty King Tupou VI, presided over the University of the South Pacific graduation ceremony today. King Tupou, on his first official visit to Fiji, conferred degrees to the graduates of USP. Over 700 students graduating at this ceremony at the Vodafone Arena in Suva today. It's that time again. Good evening, Jamie. What do you have for us tonight?
Hi, Jackie. Well, all the attention today was at Government House. There were some very interesting developments up at Rugby House as well. CEO Manasa Mbaravi-Lala has been relieved of his duties effective immediately. Details on this and more from the mini games after the break.
नमस्ते दोस्तों, मिर्ची रफ्तार से मैं अश्निल सिंह। शामिल हो जाइए हमारे साथ मंडे टू फ्राइडे फ्रॉम 3 to 7 PM।
Nimbula, methangu nimilote na isoro tumboa. Nama kia uminarua kina ona na via kavi moniti kina wakarambuka. Rongo mena via sana kina via baka barota kini ndreko malolo. Ena radio Fiji wana na wongani pia niano. Ngai nama kia kina.
Welcome back. The Fiji Rugby Union has today terminated the contract of its chief executive, Manasa Mbaravi-Lala. This as the board says it works on ways to better the position of the union in its bid to improve the outlook of the sport. However, what has raised eyebrows is that Mbaravi-Lala will vacate the post immediately.
The axe most were talking about has started to fall, and that is what is happening at the Fiji Rugby Union as outlined by its board. First to go today was Chief Executive Manasa Mbaravi-Lala. Reasons given for this by Chair Filimoni Wangambada states, quote, "The Fiji Rugby Union Board has undertaken a review of its operations of the Fiji Rugby Union business and intends to implement reforms and improvements to the administration, management and operations of the FRU business during its term," unquote. Wangambada and his board didn't mince their words when they said the union needs to start taking drastic actions to better the image of Fiji Rugby. Quote, "As a strategic and formal step in that direction, after due consultation with relevant stakeholders, the board has decided to exercise its options to end its employment contract with current Chief Executive Manasa Mbaravi-Lala, effective immediately, and advertise this role at the earliest convenience," unquote. In the interim, Wangambada will assume the role until a replacement is found. This could just be the start of things to come, as the board has promised, and looks at ways to take the sport to a level where rugby once was. Indra Singh, FBC Sports.
Manube Tambakaudoro set a new Pacific Mini Games record as he clocked 21.13 seconds to win the 200 meters men's final today. There was expectation today that Tambakaudoro would become the first man in the Pacific to run below 21 seconds in the 200 meters. However, with the heat and the hard surface, that didn't eventuate, but he did set a new games record.
I was expecting a faster time, but it's a really hot year, so we just had to work with what we have.
You did slower time than this in the heat?
Yes, I did. I spoke with head coach Chandele. He said just to get through to the final, so it was all right.
Meanwhile, things didn't go too well for the Fiji women in the 200 meters final. Eleanor Sailosi finished third behind PNG's Iron Woman, Toya Wiesel, and Cook Islands' Patricia Taya.
Although I didn't do best, but I thank God for this day. I thank God for the talent that I have this afternoon as I ran the 200 final, and I just want to thank everybody for their prayers and support.
Isikeli Wanga eased past seasoned athletes as he jumped 1.98 meters to claim the high jump gold at the Games. After grabbing gold, Wanga insisted on breaking the Pacific record by jumping 2.05 meters with an injured foot. He may not have broken the Pacific Games record, but his jump that got him gold was equally breathtaking. The view to primary school grounds was a hive of activity today as 5 districts converged for the Southern Zone Primary School soccer playoffs. The young footballers put on a fine display as they tested their skills in not-so-perfect conditions. Tsale Ndawdakadaka reports.
The cold, overcast weather conditions failed to dampen the spirits of these youngsters at Nasese today. The enthusiasm and raw skills displayed is a testimony to the development work put in. It is a vital step to grooming these players.
We are doing the development from the grassroots level. We are trying to bring in the talented players from here and there from the grassroots level so that they are built up for the premier teams when they grow up.
Each of the 5 districts is made up of players from different schools in the under 10, 12 and 14 grades. Teams in the senior grade will meet up again in the primary schools IDC tournament next month.
But the winner and runners from this playoff here will also go and play under 12 IDC in Lotoka. The winner for under 14 after this game will represent the southern districts in the major IDC when it will be played in Ba.
Meanwhile, after today's games, Suba and Nabua will represent the southern zone to the primary schools IDC, a good build-up not only for upcoming tournaments but also a breeding ground for the country's football talents. Tsale Ndawdakadaka, FBC Sports.
Before the Battle of the Mbati trials in 2 weeks' time, the Fiji residents will be first to face the chopping block. 8 spots are up for grabs for local players in what's an already star-studded World Cup squad. While the players seek final selection, hype is already building in England towards Fiji's first match. Elena MacDonald reports.
Rochdale will be hosting Fiji Bati's World Cup opener against Ireland. Fijians living abroad are already campaigning the match, which is drawing a lot of attention.
The ticket sales are going a lot better than expected. I mean, friends of friends of friends of friends, and then obviously with people coming from all over the country and all over the world. So from a player's point of view, going in, it's warming, it's welcoming, and it feels really good. Feels like, you know, doing something for the sport as well as the game itself.
The place is being considered their home away from home, and by the looks of things, Fiji will be getting massive support.
We have a very, very close relationship with Ireland as well in our community here, and we friends. But when we go on the field, come on, we're going to go for Fiji.
The Fiji residence trials is tomorrow, and team management will be choosing the best 17.
Last World Cup, the local boys contribute more when you reach the semi-finals. In the statement, some of the NR players are voicing they want more local players to go. So I think the left position about 8 positions left.
Locals play a huge part in the Fiji Bati makeup, as in 2008 when 13 from 16 players hit the big time in the NRL. This time around, team management knows the best is yet to come. Elena MacDonald, FBC Sports.
That's it from Sports for tonight. Good evening.
Our import bill in June was more than double of what Fiji was able to export. The Bureau of Statistics has released the figures for international merchandise trade. Fiji imported $345 million worth of goods, while exports only amounted to $101 million. Singapore leads the list of import nations for June with $86 million worth of fuel. Australia, China and New Zealand follow as the other major importers. $9.5 million worth of sugar was imported from Thailand in June. Weather time now, and I see you're in blue today, Jen. Feeling patriotic, are we?
Extremely patriotic, Jackie. Considering I don't have a flag on me, this was the best I could do. We had a few hours of sunshine today, but more or less it was either cloudy or rained. The lowest temperature on our chart hasn't budged from yesterday's 25, while the same could be said for our highest temperature, which is still on 27 degrees. Bar plays Lone Ranger today on 26. And look at that, sunny icons right through. which means that I've got a ton of washing to hang out tomorrow. Seafarers, you can expect moderate southerly swells and moderate to rough seas. Brittany from Lautoka, thank you so much for your photo. Brittany took this picture in her backyard, which overlooks the golf course. And because she sent it in, she gets to see it on the big screen. Well, that's it from me for the week. Do take care and catch me again on Monday.
Thanks so much for that, Genevieve. Tonight's top stories. Fiji marks a historical day as President Ratuepeli Nailatikau assents to the 2013 Constitution. Prime Minister Vorengem Bainimarama says he will be judged by the people at next year's elections, and political leaders hold a protest outside Government House to protest against the new Constitution. To the poll question now, and we're asking, with Australia and New Zealand now supporting the new Constitution, should all travel restrictions against Fiji stop? Visit our website www.fbc.com.fj to take part. Remember to send us newsworthy pictures and videos. Email citizenseyes@fbc.com.fj. That's News Tonight. Modemanda.
जहाँ हो प्यार का बसेरा और रिश्तों की खुशबू, वो है आपका अपना घर संसार. Join me on Ghar Sansar, Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. till 12 p.m. only on Radio Fiji 2.
Hope you're enjoying the music right now on Gold FM. Only the classic hits, especially if you're spending your time at home or around the office. I certainly hope you're taking it easy and enjoying the music coming your way. Well, I got a whole lot more to keep you moving and to keep you going right up until you reach knock-off time. I'm Kara. Join me every weekday from 2 to 7 on The Ride, only on Gold FM.